Yeah, coming into the game, we knew Oklahoma State. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Boynton. I've watched them play a long time. Their defense and on-ball pressure is a problem, and they're a young team that's growing at certain spots, but they also have experienced guards that I think will keep getting better. So I was concerned coming into the game, and early it was obvious that they were ready to play. One thing about our team is we've been resilient, and we've hung in there with each other. So in these timeouts, even early, we did make them make a few tough shots. They got a few great looks that changed it, but I thought we missed a couple good looks early too, and I thought our composure to allow the game to still come to us without turning the ball over. Because sometimes you can get down and you start doing things that are uncharacteristic that lead to layups, and they did get one, but I thought for the most part, our composure offensively and our fight defensively was where it needed to be, and we were able to get the lead. And you know, these games are tough in the Big 12. Give them credit. They didn't back down. They made some threes late, but the way we shared the ball and the way we committed to handling their runs, I love this group and the way that they stick together.
Coach, would you consider this, with the exception of the first 4 minutes, the most complete game that this team has played this year? 17 assists with just 4 turnovers.
Well, this team can share the ball. And I think on some teams you have 1 or 2 guys that handle the ball like almost all the time. I think this group, we're starting to share the ball well. You got 3 guys with more than 4 assists, and we look at it, you know, a lot of ball movement. And over the course of the game, I think our guys are comfortable with sharing the ball. They're comfortable. And sometimes you don't touch the ball very often, so you turn the ball over when you get it just because you're not – that's where I think our team has grown. We're really trusting each other. And I thought Warren and Darian facilitated the game just extremely well. And then for Pop to, I think, maybe missed his first few shots, Kerwin to miss his first one, like I thought our team hung in there and just played the game the right way and didn't panic.
How has Darian grown over the last couple of games to be the player that you need him to be?
Well, one, he's an unbelievable teammate. So Darian Williams is so fun to be around. You talk to him on a daily basis, he just is fun. You know, he's like a coacher. You know, he's got these little, like, he's always smiling. So I think one thing about this team that's the most underrated part is they're unbelievable guys. They're just awesome on a daily basis. Like, they're just fantastic teammates. So there's a growth process with learning this level and actually how you want to play together. So people are trying to feel out what they do best. And you can see it. Our guys trust each other in what we do, and they trust each other in what they do best. And they're starting to operate in a way where they see each other's strengths and they rely on each other. And that's where Darian Wims is just blossoming, because he's a great guy, but he also really cares about his teammates, and he's got a lot of skill and feel and makes the right play. And now he's scoring and distributing, and he's a difficult matchup.
Coach, after the kind of game that Garrison had against Baylor, I guess, what was the approach to guarding him? It seemed like, you know, anytime they put him in the pick and roll, y'all were trying to avoid that switch as much as possible.
Yeah, we got loose on one of them, and ultimately just how physical can you be at the point of attack to limit the ability to get downhill. And our guards did a great job guarding the ball, which allows their forwards to get back and not give up lob threats and dump down dunks. And he got a few baskets in transition. He got one early in the game, but we didn't turn the ball over, so we just didn't give him opportunities to score in transition.
I mean, you got points from everywhere, from in the paint, from the three-point line. I guess it was one of y'all's best performances from deep. What does that maybe say about the quality of shots y'all were getting? I mean, it wasn't really a whole lot of volume, but it seemed like y'all were getting some pretty good looks.
We trust each other. Our offense is dependent on our ability to share the ball, and I thought guys made great decisions, which put people in difficult situations, and the more we share it, the better we are.
Coach, I was pretty impressed with your defense and obviously ability to defend without fouling. The first half got away from you in the second half a little bit. I guess just what kind of defensive effort is this team playing with, and how do you feel that they're doing up to your expectations?
You saw the urgency that we had. I asked the team in the locker room, I was like, are you guys, every time out, I'm just urging them, like, man, we have to compete every possession. And it's difficult to maintain the level. But I'm saying if we want to win a championship, that's just what we have to do. And we got to eliminate those lapses. To start the game, I honestly thought they made some pretty difficult shots. So, it's how do you respond to that? Then we gave them a few easy ones, which is uncharacteristic. But I thought the grit we played with that last 15 minutes of the first half was really what we're capable of and the standard that we want to play at.
Coach Boynton just talked about how you have this team's attention and that you're having them play in the way that you want this team to play. I guess with the way that you're distributing the ball right now, how do you see the offense moving forward, I guess, with the way that they're playing right now and getting the good looks that you just talked about?
Well, Kerwin, I just think tonight was his opportunity to make the right decision. He ended up being the recipient of a lot of great plays and our ability to put pressure on people at a lot of different spots. I mean, even when they tried to change defenses, I thought we stayed aggressive. And so with this team, it's like, how do you stay aggressive in the way you attack everybody, but make the easy play? And it feels like this team is really trusting that process.
You said earlier this year that Pop likes to put on a show in front of the home crowd. Did you kind of see a little bit of that early where he maybe pressing and then just kind of settled in the game after that?
I mean, we just want him to be aggressive. So I think there's a difference between wanting to play good and wanting to win. And I thought earlier he was trying to play good, and now I just think he's committed to winning. And our guys are trusting him. I think we need him to be aggressive. He had a left-handed layup to start the game. I thought it was a good look. And Bryce Thompson made a pretty good play on it. And where we got to get better is quit trying to draw fouls and finish. That's where I felt like tonight when we weren't playing great, we were trying to draw fouls. And the game's so physical, they could call a foul a lot, right? And there's a nuance to this game that you got to be able to play the game, under control and physical. And so I thought he did after that. He played the game pretty physical. He got some good looks, maybe took one tough one from the left wing. We lacked some ball movement in the possession. But I thought the second half, we were able to move parts around it, and that's when that opens up space for us. And I think Pop's playing the game to win.
Second Big 12 game in a row. You guys come out maybe a little flat, a little cold to start the game. Troubling trend for you? Are you fine with this? Is that just kind of the feel-out period for you guys?
Honestly, it's just about the quality of shots that we're getting. And I do think that teams that win can do it for 40 minutes. And I feel like our measuring stick is going to be, how do we compete for 40 minutes? I did think that we were maybe a little flat defensively to start the game. But I didn't think we were flat at Texas. I just thought, they got great size and length, and they make you make tough shots. And they have, but tonight we were a little flat defensively to start. But, this team competes. We practice hard every day. We practiced hard when we got back from Texas. So it's not like these guys are looking around wondering what it looks like to play hard. So I do think we'll commit to that, and winning's about playing for 40 minutes.
And Derry, I kind of just briefly mentioned that nobody kind of expects anything from you guys. Are you guys taking on kind of a chip on your shoulder underdog kind of mentality this year?
This team, I just think we're trying to be good every day. Honestly, I mean that. I mean, we're just trying to fight and compete and be at our absolute best every day. I shouldn't say good. We're not trying to be good. We're trying to be the absolute best we can be every day. So to think of anything other than that, I'm not smart enough to do that.
Coach, your second straight game with single-digit turnovers. I guess, what is the biggest cause of that? And do you notice that you guys the more the season goes on, that you're starting to play together more and maybe with a bigger sense of calmness, I guess?
I mean, since this summer, we practiced passing the basketball, and we put 2 dribble limits on everybody just so the ball moves. And I think that's attributed to the ramp up of where we've been, because we've been practicing hard on it since this summer. I mean, just how well do you move the ball and how well do you trust each other? And we got great players. I've said it from the beginning. I think we shoot the ball really well. Were you going to shoot good every night? No. But I do think that our group has great offensive talent individually. It's just, how do you put it together? And the best way we put it together is to try to share the basketball and not just rely on one person exclusively to shoulder the load to make every decision. And our guys are doing that well. And obviously, like Rob, Darian, D5, and Warren are a big part of that too, because they handle it and make the right decisions. And when you look at the stat line and you see that Warren had the one turnover, Kerwin had one, Chance had one. I mean, just it's unbelievable how they're caring about making the right play for each other.
Midway through the first half, coming out of a timeout, you ran a play for Kerwin, and he got out like a little floater in the middle of the lane. And from that point on, he had a really, really good game. Was that a conscious effort on your part to get him involved somewhat? And do you consider that kind of maybe part of maybe a turning point in the game?
Definitely, and it was actually we made a read in it, and it was I take zero credit. Our staff's unbelievable, by the way. I mean, like when you look at the cohesive, competitive, just connected staff that we have, all those guys over there are so talented. I mean, and they all help over the course of the game, defensively and offensively. And so, you know, there's been a lot of suggestions to try to do what you're saying is like, how do we involve different guys out of different timeouts? And so I'm just trusting a lot of those guys as we make decisions. And it was a read by Warren, I think, on the play, and it went to Kerwin's side, and Kerwin made a phenomenal play. So it actually wasn't specifically drawn up for him. That's why I'll tell you, I'll give our guys the credit and our staff, because they're just getting prepared to read what the defense is doing and make the play that gives us. And that's Kerwin's credit, because he's not just holding the ball and waiting for somebody that the play wasn't for him. He's attacking. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's an attack mode that's like, let's make the simple play, though. You don't have to throw something crazy up at the basket if it doesn't work. And that's Kerwin and Warren making an awesome basketball read.
It seems pretty clear to me that teams are really, really trying to play very physical with Pop off of the basketball. I mean, there's a lot of holding and grabbing and stuff like that. They're not calling a lot of that stuff. How do you feel Pop is responding to that extreme level of physicality that he's facing?
Well, after the Texas game, I showed a clip of Pop at the rim falling down and not making a layup, and I just like, this is why we've committed to the weight room since this summer. And give Pop credit. It's not always fun to be in the weight room, but he's really established that part of what we're doing. And our team has committed to that. I mean, our team lifts voluntarily after games. I mean, these guys are really understanding that it's the rigors of the Big 12 that you have to prepare yourself for. It's not a one-game season. You don't say, hey, we played good on the road last week. What a fun time. That's not how it works. You got to be able to do it over the course of the year if you want to win a championship. So we've committed ourselves to the weight room, and Pop's consistent with that. And I think he's seeing the ability, how can we keep doing this, where we prepare ourselves for games, for all the physical play that's coming. And this is just going to be the least of it. That's what I'm telling them. Prepare for it. It's going to be every night.
Coach, before the season, you said Warren's playmaking was his most underrated ability. It seems like he's really tapped into that recently, especially in those dribble handoffs. You know, he looks like he has a better idea of where to go if the initial thing doesn't work. I'm just curious if you see the same thing, and how do you think he's come along?
Yeah, Joe makes like the initial action really work, right? So you got to give credit to Joe, because he can get it where Warren puts himself in playmaking positions. But then Warren's got a phenomenal feel. Like I tell people, when we do 3-on-2, 2-on-1, or we're doing transition stuff he's handled, he may be the best on our team. It's wild how fluid he is and how easy he makes a good decision. So the question is, can you free him up enough to where he's not getting physically hounded? And that's where I think he's starting to thrive. He's using his athleticism. He got a couple of shots off, but I thought they were really physical with him, but I thought he made the right read. Just maybe bobbled the ball a little bit. So if we can tighten him up where he can handle the ball when they're playing physical on him, I think he can use his athleticism in space. But we're getting him the ball in different spots to try to free him up where he can use that decision-making and not get too loose with it. Because it gets fun, and then all of a sudden you overhandle, like, no, we're not doing that. Like, let's get back to making the simple play.
And, Darian, he walked in there with the Devin Cambridge shirt. I know you talked about when he got hurt, how big he is just off the floor, just as a leader. Can you just talk more about that?
Yeah, I love Devin because he's got a D5 shirt, you know. So these guys are each other's biggest fans, and I think that's how you win, is you stay connected all the way through it, and that's just a good example of it.
Coach, what are some of the biggest ways you've seen this team grow since those losses against Butler and Villanova?
One area is we found a foundation of what we're doing defensively, and we've committed to being great on that side of the ball. And then an area that I think we've got to continue to improve is rebounding. I think that's going to be the difference in the season, honestly. And so we're rebounding better than we were. And then there's a flow to what we're doing offensively, and I think our guys are sharing the basketball.
And Joe Toussaint reached 1,000 career points tonight. How is it having such a guy entering, or you get him from the transfer portal and just making such an immediate impact in all these big games?
Yeah, I love Joe because the bigger the moment, the more he can step into it and make a play that wins. And it doesn't have to do with scoring. I mean, 1,000 points is a phenomenal accomplishment. But Joe's a winner. Joe knows how to come up with a loose ball in the most pivotal time. He knows how to guard the ball with intensity to get a stop at the most important time. And in that stretch where we were trying to find our identity, Joe's effort and intensity and belief in our team is what allowed us to improve. So Joe scored 1,000 points, an awesome goal, but honestly, we got bigger goals, and I know Joe does, and we're excited about the future. Yep, thank you all.